2 years ago, I was unwell because I was battling with a condition and I was like in hospital and stuff. But I'm gonna be talking about this because I think that now that I'm the Princess of Wales with Charlotte, which is my relative, and I do think that now that these things are coming to the surface, I think it needs to be talked about. So I've had an experience 2 years ago where I was like in hospital when I was unwell and stuff. And now that that situation is coming to an end, right? I've noticed that there's people that are trying to like use the narrative of the fact that I'm the Princess of the Wales, right? And so because me and Charlotte are the Princess of Wales, I've noticed that there's people from outside, like people that I don't know, and they're basically trying to use the lupus card as a way to get in the side door because it was an experience that happened for many years, right? But now that that situation is over, I've noticed that past over the years, right? The king has noticed it because he's technically my ancestor, and so he's been making letters about this, basically separating me away from that because he's now noticing that it's becoming a problem because what's happening is because I was unwell, like before I received my title, the Princess of Wales, I have a story, right? So there's things that I experienced before that, meaning that I was in hospital going through an experience because I have a health issue. And so there's been people that I've never seen before that have been basically trying to get inside of that story as a way to get in the door. But I'm noticing that I need to stop that from happening. So I'm going to stop that by basically saying that, first of all, I don't know any of these people. And secondly, um, this this story that is going out with the sickness is coming to an end. So there's not going to be an opportunity for people to be able to get in through the sick card, right? The sick card that they're using, there's not going to be an opportunity for you anymore. So basically, that story is being closed out, and whoever is there is going to be canceled because why? Because that story no longer exists in my life and it was something that happened. It was just an experience. So because it was just an experience, that situation is being closed out. Yeah, it's being closed out. So I'm making a video to basically say that that was an experience that happened and it's over. Yeah, it's over. It's not, the story is no longer continuing. And the king, which is my ancestor, is basically making statements about this, like about me, saying that that story is canceled. So yeah, that story is canceled, and it doesn't really matter if you don't like it. It doesn't really matter. It has nothing to do with me, and I really don't care. I think it's funny how now that this situation is being closed out, people are like in their feelings about it. They're like upset about it, but I do think that it's so funny because this is something that Spider-Man was laughing at because they tried to use like the sick card as a way to get in the door, but now it's not working because it's canceled, and obviously you can't bypass what the king says. Like whatever statements the king is making, that's what it is, right? So the king has basically said that Tiana has nothing to do with that situation that they're creating. So that situation and circumstance that they're creating has nothing to do with me. And how I know that is because the king is now making statements about this, saying that, you know, Tiana is the Princess of Wales and she has nothing to do with that, basically. And he's basically saying that that situation is over, right? So it was something that happened, it was an experience, but it's not for a lifetime, it was just an experience. So yeah, so I do think that this definitely needs to be exposed because I've noticed that, you know, there's people that are getting extremely comfortable with that narrative, and I do think that it needs to be like dismantled basically because of the fact that, you know, it's been going on for so long, and now that, you know, these people are getting comfortable with the sick card, right? And now that I'm the Princess of Wales, they're trying to basically use that card as a way to get in the door. But now that it's being stopped because the statements are coming out. So the king is basically making statements about me saying that, you know, Tiana has nothing to do with that. That situation is finished. And I do think that if that's a fact, the situation is finished. So I do think that now that it's over, um, that there shouldn't be any conversation regarding that anymore. Like it's not going to be talked about. And secondly, nobody cares, right? So I do think that it's funny that, you know, the story is being brought out even after it's been canceled. So I do think now that, you know, that situation is over, um, there are statements that the royal family is making about me, like about that, because they're realizing that it's being more talked about than usual, and that's not supposed to be happening like that. So I do think that now that the situation is over, I am glad that the statements are coming out.